Good morning and welcome to the Rise and Grind Mastermind Call. This call was started on September 8th, 2016. This is a mastermind group, and a mastermind group is a group of people who come together to accumulate great wealth, and not just wealth in the form of money, but relationships and just accumulation of people to get a great fortune. The concept of a mastermind group was developed by Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich. So these are just the principles that we go by when we hold this call live at 9 a.m. each morning. And who we are is just a group of individuals who want to share information, because we know that one person cannot accumulate great wealth alone. It always takes a team, because no one individual knows everything. And we're always supposed to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals to accumulate great success. The topic of today's call is taking risks. Taking risks, they are basically essential to success. When you take a risk, it means that you're actually getting out of your comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone, not much happens, or the same regular thing happens that you're just used to. You're just comfortable. When you're in mode of just being comfortable, you're actively not growing. You're just staying the same because you're just operating within your comfort zone. But when we actually take risks, and we achieve something out of it, we achieve some kind of great success, we actually accomplish one thing that we set out to accomplish, we actually didn't know what was behind the door, and we found out it was some good things in store for us, or we grew from a particular situation, it actually improves our self-confidence. It lets us know that, hey, every now and again, I'm not afraid to get out of my comfort zone. So it improves your self-confidence because you're able to move from success to success. One thing we all have to understand, and it's a principle that never fails, is when you get out your comfort zone, that's actually where your happiness is. Because one thing that we know as human beings is we know our past and we know our present. We don't know what the future holds. But if we get out of our comfort zone and we have, the law of attraction on our side, our visualization, we're aspiring to be happy, then we have to get out this comfort zone to actually have some kind of growth in our life. One thing we need to ask ourselves on a daily basis, and when it comes to taking risks, is when was the last time we jumped out of our comfort zone? If you think about some of the most momentous occasions of your life where you wanted to take a picture, or you did take a picture, some kind of grand event, and it was up to your own doing, something that you wanted to happen so bad, but in order to make it happen, you had to step out your comfort zone. Think of that feeling that you had when you stepped out of your comfort zone. That's what basically helped you go from, success to success, and continuously step out your comfort zone. When you stepped out your comfort zone at that moment, imagine the growth. Even if you said, okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith, and when I take this leap of faith, I don't know where I'm going to land, but I'm attracting all that comes to me. So I'm hoping something good will come out of me taking this leap of faith. Whether it was good or whether it was bad, you grew from the situation. You're here today. You were able to acknowledge whatever happened is what happened. And, it was a huge leap of faith that you did when you stepped out your comfort zone. We need to ask ourselves, what do you want? There was an exercise that I did when we went to the Jack Canfield One Day to Greatness conference, and we had to pair it with a stranger, and we had to repeatedly ask that person, what do they want? And they have to respond quickly. Then, we switch the roles, and they do the same thing to us. But like we talked one time, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Ask yourself, what do you want? All right, get a friend or family member to do the challenge with you, because when you ask yourself on a continuous basis, what do you want, those first responses are coming out from your heart. So when you ask yourself, what do you want, also ask yourself, what's holding you back? What's stopping you from taking that risk, or taking that chance, stepping out there on faith, whatever you want to call it, as far as that risk nature? What's stopping you from getting what you want? And also, get into a mode where you write your 3-year goals, your 5-year goals. But what's stopping you from doing them today? It's kind of like that book, Eat That Frog, and he talks about, do the hardest thing today. Handle it first. Handle it first thing in the morning. And once you see that, okay, well, this is my biggest challenge of the day, but I went ahead and knocked it out, That's the same thing when you do those 3-year goals, 5-year goals. What I want to accomplish in 2017. What can you take off that list of what you want to accomplish in 2017? What can you start working on today or go ahead and knock out today? That's what we have to understand. What is holding us back? What is our risk nature? Understand that the only thing that's holding you back from taking risks, from accomplishing what you want to accomplish, from stepping out of that comfort zone, from getting rid of anything that's holding you back is fear. And fear, you could call it false evidence appearing real, but actually getting rid of your fear is the first step of taking risks. Because you already asked yourself, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What's holding me back? Once you understand what's holding you back from what you really want, then you understand, okay, I need to take a risk. And the only thing that's stopping me from taking my risk is I'm scared of something. What is it that I'm scared of? Because when you ask yourself, what do you want, the vision steps come along. That inspired thought comes into your head and say, hey, I want this. These are the steps that I need to take to get it. But when you're thinking about those steps, what's holding you back from taking all the steps today? What's holding you back from actually taking step 1 today? What's holding you back? When you find out what's holding you back, that's the fear. Sometimes we become our worst enemy because we're holding ourselves back. No particular person is holding us back. No particular situation is holding us back. We're just in our own head. And just think about it. Think of the word enemy, and think of the word inner me. I-N-N-E-R, inner me. Sometimes we are our worst enemy because we're in our own head. So the enemy isn't people coming against you. The enemy isn't people trying to plot against you. The enemy is you acknowledging what you're afraid of and not taking that next action step. Once you realize what you're afraid of, break up with fear. Acknowledge the fear and break up with it. Remove fear from your life. Acknowledge the situation, acknowledge what's holding you back, and get out your comfort zone after you realize what's been holding me back all these years. What's been holding me back all these months? Why have I just now wrote this down for the first time? Now that I've finally written it down, I'm finally acting on it. Why didn't I do this? You know, sometimes we have so much knowledge and we listen to other people's success stories and they say little tidbits that we know, but we just don't do. If it has worked for 20 other people in order to get successful, would you rather mimic a more successful person or just never try it at all to see if it actually works? So we have to break up with fear, and that's getting out of our heads, realizing that the enemy is sometimes the inner me. Next time you feel fear, actually stick with it just for a little while and understand, what is it? Why? Why do I have this fear? What is it that's within me that I'm just operating in fear? I'm just operating in fear. So when you get, your heart skips a beat when you think about those big breakthrough goals that can help take you to another level in your life, that can take you on another plane of success where you're that person that you always wanted to be in life, ask yourself why. Why am I afraid of this? What am I afraid is going to happen? If I achieve this big breakthrough goal, this big success that I aspire to be, why am I so afraid to get there now? I can see myself being a millionaire at 40. I can see myself being a millionaire at 50. But why am I afraid of the now? A lot of times it's not our to-do list that's going to make us successful. It's our not-to-do list that's going to make us successful. And it's the same way. A lot of times it's not what we can do, but we need to think about what is it that's really holding me back. When you acknowledge those fears, you're able to get rid of them. If you don't know what you're scared of, you're never acknowledging why you haven't taken that leap of faith in every situation in your life, including today. We actually need to understand that we get a major say in what we attract in life. The law of attraction is always working. When you start your day off with meditation, with prayer, with focusing how you want your day to go, you get the say-so of what comes into your life. So we have to understand that by taking 100% responsibility and actually acknowledging that taking risks is a good thing for our life. Because when I take that risk, I'm already thinking that this is going to set me up for phenomenal growth. It's kind of like seeing gratitude in every situation. Even though everything is going bad, you're in the storm, you're able to still be thankful about something about the situation. Like, oh, wow, when I get out this situation, man, I'm going to be so much wiser than I was before I went through the storm. If this happens in my life somewhat, anything comes that looks similar to this, I know how to refuse it or accept it because I've learned from this situation. So is there anyone else out there on this call who wants to talk about taking risks?
I would like to chime in. Thank you, Timeka. Actually, risk-taking is something that everybody is going to have to get comfortable with or is going to have to do if they want to experience some of the greater things in life. If we actually sit down and think about it, most of the great things in life that all of us as human beings desire takes us, or it makes us have to be willing to take a risk. If you just think about love, most people on earth, the common thing that we have in common, most people want to be loved, but in order to be loved, in order to find the one that you can have that great relationship with, you have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, put yourself out there and say, you know what, the odds are not in my favor. There's about a billion people on this earth, but I want to find that one. And in order to do that, I have to keep going out there and trying to meet that person, talk to them. Maybe I'm a little shy, but I got to take a risk because this is what I want. If we think about even in the aspect of having children, when we have children, that's taking a risk. We're taking a risk because that's territory that we haven't charted yet. That's the unknown. That's something we have never done. We don't have a lot of experience with, but because a lot of us desire to be parents. And the whole goal of being a parent outweighs the risk of maybe not being able to be a parent. We take that risk and say, okay, I want to have children. I want to be a parent. Also, with business, we say that all the time with business, you have to take a risk. If you want to be successful in your business or even in your job, if you just want to have this new job, new promotion, you have to take a risk and put yourself out there and be willing to get over the fear of rejection so that you can have what you want. So the goal, a lot of times, to be a good risk taker is not where you have to be this extraordinary person where you just have to say, oh, I'm a risk taker. But you just have to tap into the things that you already have, the same way that you can push fear aside for the goal of meeting your mate or having a child or having a great marriage or getting that job. It's the same thing you have to do when you want to take a risk in anything else. We just have to tap into it. So that's the thing I wanted to add to it for this moment. I'll go ahead and pass it to someone else on the call because I know everyone has something great to say about risk-taking.
Hey, good morning. This is Randolph, Mapp. Great topic, taking risk. Risk can be defined as a situation involving exposure to danger. And it's Timeka and Shana was saying, we're going to take risk just on a daily basis, whether it's getting in your car, riding to work, whatever. Risks are all around us at all times. But just to bring it to, the topic of, taking risk, taking risk does show confidence and helps an individual to stand out. I couldn't help but to think about, when I think about Dr. King or any great leader, these people risk their lives, their family's lives, their name, for a particular cause or whatever their vision was. And the greater your risks, a lot of times, the greater your reward. Unfortunately, he had to lose his life, and, we know how the rest of the story goes. But because he died, millions of us are now living a life that his dream was all about. So when we take those risks, it does show confidence and gives other people confidence as well that, hey, I can make this same difference too if I decide to take this risk. It's not always about so much helping out me, but showing someone else, hey, you can do the same thing as well. It's almost like a domino effect. Another point I wanted to bring up about taking a risk is I can't achieve my dreams by playing it safe. But that doesn't mean at the same time take risks without, doing my homework, just taking risks because, I just want to do this. I just want to be a risk taker. No. Make sure you do your homework on whatever it is that you want to do or that you're trying to pursue. For instance, in my life, I'm actually involved in becoming an owner of a business. And I had to make a decision on what I was going to do, and I took a risk. I took a nice risk, but I knew that if this didn't fall through, the collateral that I put up, I had to really think it through and say, hey, you know what? I could lose this. You know, I could take this risk at the time because I know I have something on the back end that can cover my tail in case things went south. You know, so when you're taking risks, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, you've talked to your mastermind group, you've prayed, you've meditated, you know, you make sure that you're in good standings and that you have a backup plan just in case that risk that you're taking doesn't fall through. You know, you don't want to be just stupid out here just doing things for no, you know, without, you know, knowing what's going on, the whole scenario. Success will not fall into your lap, so you have to pursue it. Again, this tying in about what I'm saying as far as, you know, being a part owner of a business. You know, it doesn't happen by osmosis. I just can't be around something and I just become this incredible, influential millionaire. No, I have to pursue it. I have to take the classes. I have to ask the questions. I have to sit down and talk to people. I have to go to seminars. I have to do all these types of things incorporated in this risk that I'm taking. You know, just another little key point that I want to bring up on that. Another thing, we learn from our risk, and those lessons might lead us to an important, will lead us on a new or an important path. And I couldn't help but when I was thinking about that was, you know, I was thinking about my recovery. You know, like it was a complete risk, you know, changing everything that I have been doing for almost a decade, well, a little over a decade, really, if I think about it. But I had to take that risk and say, you know what, let me look at what my life was like, and let me imagine and be optimistic on what my life could possibly be like. And because I took that healthy risk, my life is definitely on a new path, spiritually, mentally, physically, and I mean, God is blessing in ways that, you know, I couldn't even foresee, you know. So it's very important that, you know, we do take risks, but that we do take strategic risk, you know, not just going out here, you know, trying to be the world's greatest risk taker. You know, that's all I had right now as far as the topic of taking risk and the importance of them. If you plan on being the most successful you, I'll turn it back to one of the hosts in the groups.
Okay, I'll go ahead and chime in another point as well. Timeka kind of touched on it a little bit, but not being afraid of the word no. A lot of times that's what keeps us from taking risks is we're just afraid of the word no, but that's something we have to get used to. We can't get a yes every single time, so we have to get used to the fact that we won't get a no. But sometimes that no is not necessarily no that, oh, your opportunity won't happen, just maybe not at that moment with that particular person you're asking. A lot of times when we look at the risks that we're taking, we kind of have to look at, okay, weigh the pros and cons of it. What are you actually going to lose by taking that risk? And a lot of times it's nothing. Only thing you're going to lose is maybe just a little time, and maybe your ego or your feelings will be hurt just a little bit. For me, I feel like I'm a natural risk taker in some areas. I don't know if it's just because I'm the youngest born in my family. I did a paper maybe several years ago when I was in school for early childhood care and education, and they were talking about the pecking order as far as firstborn, middle child, and the youngest born. And I realized the youngest born tends to be more risk takers. And the reason why is because typically the oldest one has to be more responsible. The middle child is usually the middle one. They can be a little more irresponsible, but they still have to look out for the youngest one. Typically, the youngest one doesn't have to look out for anybody. Everybody's looking out for that youngest one, so the youngest one can just go out there and walk out in the middle of the street. Everybody's going to run and protect the youngest one because it's a car coming because they've been taught, go get your baby brother, go get your little sister. And so that's what I think probably made me a natural risk taker. But in my head, a lot of times when I weigh the options of, okay, what is the pros, what is the cons, a lot of times there is no cons in my mind because if they say no, if I jump out here and I want to do this big venture and I decide, okay, this is what I want to do, I want to jump out here and have this business. If not, if it doesn't work out, I just start back where I am right now. Maybe I lose a little bit of time, I lose a little bit of money that we raised, but a lot of times you don't go further backwards from where you started. You actually end up a little further because you've gained the knowledge, you've gained the confidence from what you've learned from jumping out there and being a risk taker. And also, you've kind of you've gotten a better awareness of yourself. You see, okay, I can do these things. So that's one thing I just wanted to add to it is weighing the pros and cons. Just be willing to accept the word no and not be scared to jump out there and do the things that you want to do, because a lot of times the risk that you will gain is a lot more than what you will actually lose. So I'll go ahead and pass it on back to Timeka as well.
Okay. I just want to say one last thing about taking risks. Taking risks basically get you out of your comfort zone. And staying in your comfort zone too long, it basically robs you of growing. For example, this year, 2016, I've learned so much about money. And what I can say about money is I'm 35 years old, and I'm not the best money manager that I can be. Money is still a subject that I am researching on how to be the best money manager, on how to multiply the money that I receive, on how to make the best business choices for myself and my family. And, how am I going to achieve that success of being a millionaire? Because, of course, I don't see being a millionaire as just a lifestyle. I see it as being an effective money manager with the amount of money that I have right now to multiply that to be that amount. And I know that sometimes that's why we have to understand to hang around like-minded individuals, because everyone has a specific money blueprint. It's an amount in their head that they think that they can attain and how important money is. Money isn't important to everyone, but I had to realize I had to step out my comfort zone. Sometimes you have to lose some money to realize things are just a little bit more easier when you manage it properly and you always have it. But I had to grow in certain situations this year to realize that concept. And I'm having to read the audiobooks. From people who wrote books, and they're millionaires. They have the success stories to tell me. My mind is open and receptive to the knowledge. I'm reading about people who were best on the New York bestsellers list. I'm reading about people who sold tons of books on Amazon. I'm on YouTube learning different concepts about money. But I would have never went to this point of research trying to be the best money manager I can be unless I actually stepped out my comfort zone, went through something that could actually grow me and take me to the next level in my life. And I know taking risks, sometimes it hurts. But when you take that risk, you actually bring the comfort with you. When you grow at one thing, then you become comfortable at it. And then you're able to go to the next level of growth. And I know that with my money blueprint that I have right now, no, it's not a millionaire blueprint. Because if it was, I wouldn't have blown the hundreds that I had, the thousands that I had to get to that blueprint that I eventually want embedded in my mind. And I know that we're on this habit challenge thing that's going on right now. And what we have to realize is even though you have not kept that same habit starting from day one to the last day, understand that every day there's some kind of habit change that you can do every day to increase your taking risks and taking the right risks. Because one habit can really change your life that you would put in effect today. And I know I'm learning to be transparent. I'm learning about gratitude. So many times I look at my life in 35 years, no, I haven't had the most gratitude. How do I develop this in my life? Some things that you create as a habit today, it's going to change your whole life, your whole personality. Because I don't know of a person who can say, hey, I'm a master at love. I'm a master at managing money. I haven't mastered anything because I'm steadily stepping out my comfort zone to grow every day. And that's what risks are all about. If you embrace risk and embrace the change and see how far you've come to where you are today, realize there's a ton of growth that you can achieve today by stepping out of your comfort zone. Because there's no growth in your comfort zone. It's kind of like just staying still. Is there anyone out there on the call who would want to say something about taking risks? No? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this call up. We're on Podomatic. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So invite a friend to listen to this call live personally. And thank you for joining this call. I just want to end this call. Make sure you say your affirmations. It's never too late to focus in and say who you are, believe who you are. And since we had this call about taking risks, it's very important to have on that 67-day challenge to find out what is it that you're afraid of, that fear, that false evidence appearing real. Because so many times we want things in our life and we affirm that this is what I am, who I am, but we're not writing that affirmation down and get rid of that fear. So if you feel like you're strong and you're the head and not the tail, analyze your life and start something today that can take away that fear. And thank you for